This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in West Los Angeles, joined by Sue Robbins. She is a trustee with the Culver City Unified School District. And I'd like to speak about the kids. After the presidential election, a lot of coverage throughout the Los Angeles area about students going to school, expressing a lot of fear, anxiety, depression. A lot of our students in this region are of Latino descent. They may be undocumented themselves, have undocumented family. Culver City, large Latino populations. What has been happening at your schools?
We experienced that as well.
Right.
A number of teachers reported that students came in and were very afraid that their friends might not be able to stay, that they might not be able to stay, that some even expressed they were afraid their parents might not be able to come and pick them up from school because they would be taken. There was tremendous fear amongst our students.
I was reading the LA Times. It's just heartbreaking. One fifth grade student at LAUSD said to her teacher the day after the election, "People really don't like us." It really breaks your heart. And obviously we can read a lot of things into the federal election, but as an educator, it's got to be challenging because the educator needs to be truthful, but you want to soothe.
Right.
And the reality is we don't know what the future holds for the undocumented.
We really don't. And the important thing to remember about the actions that we took in Culver City, well, there are several important things. One is that we didn't change our policy or our practice at all. We reiterated for the comfort, if you will,
Right.
of our residents and our students, what our practices already are.
And so let's talk about that because you did pass a resolution known as a Safe Zone Resolution. And it reaffirms what the Culver City School Board policy is, which is that the schools are a safe zone and that ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will not be invited onto campus without some type of significant intervention.
They would need to go to the administrative offices.
Exactly.
We believe that schools are a place for learning. Our job is to educate every student that walks through our doors as approved because they either live in Culver City or have a permit to go to school in our schools.
And it's interesting because remember in the 90s, the voters passed Prop 187, which sought to withhold educational rights of the undocumented, and the California court said, no, that's unconstitutional. So at least as it relates to our state, there seems to be a constitutional right for children present to be educated in a public institution.
And that's what we do. We educate children. The child walks through the door, we will provide an outstanding education to that child. We don't consider it our role to be confirming their immigration status.
So what are you, meaning the board, the superintendent, the administration, what are you telling teachers in terms of how to interface with the students who are expressing fear, anxiety? There have been reports of students expressing suicidal thoughts, despondency.
Well, we've engaged everyone, not just the teachers, but our counselors, our administrators, and everyone that interacts with our students to let them know that when they are at school, we believe they're there to learn. And we will protect that right for them, and we will protect the space so that they can focus on learning and not those types of concerns. Now this extends also, it's not just for our Latino students, while it's a very important consideration because of all the conversations about immigration status, it's also our LGBT students who are also expressing great fear about being treated differently or having certain expectations that we would report or
Well, what we do know is since the federal election, there has been a spike in hate crimes.
Yes.
It's just an undeniable fact. Why? I'm not a sociologist. It's hard for me to say, but there have been 701 hate incidents since the election, or in the 3 weeks after the election. About 25–30% were anti-immigrant, about 10% anti-Muslim. Significant numbers were anti-Jewish, anti-Black. It's palpable.
It is. I'm proud to say that we have had a very small number of incidents in Culver City. We are a highly diverse school district. We also have a large Muslim population. We do have LGBT students. We have certainly students who are immigrants. And there are other populations that are very concerned. African American students are concerned. Jewish students are concerned because it feels as though if you're in any of those groups, there's potential for you to be treated differently.
I want to ask you about the relationship between the federal government and the school district. As we know, school districts do get federal funding.
Yes.
The money does flow through the federal government. As you may also remember, when the federal government in the 1960s wished to enforce desegregation, they used federal funding as a tool. If you don't desegregate, we won't give you federal funds.
Right.
There have been members of the Trump administration who have said that if governmental entities act in a way that they become, let's call it sanctuary institutions, that will withhold federal funds. Where does the school district go under that rhetoric?
Well, that hasn't happened yet.
It has not.
And right now, our approach is that should any of those conversations begin to occur, it will be managed at the top administrative level.
Right.
It is not the school's role to get involved in that. The school's role is to teach and educate and protect students. Those conversations will happen at the senior administrative level.
Have there been discussions about that possibility? Because these individuals are making these statements on the news. Reince Priebus, chief of staff to the president, has said that they are undergoing the possibility of withholding federal funds.
It is of great concern to us, but it's still so undefined.
I understand.
That we cannot mount or create any sort of a response until we know what we are responding to.
Let's shift gears, if we may. And a couple of years ago, the voters of Culver City were generous, and they passed a school bond.
Yes, they did.
And the voters of California were generous. They passed a school bond in 2016.
That's right.
And so maybe you can leverage some of that Prop 51 dollars with your Culver City dollars.
Absolutely.
But there's an effort to speed up some of the bonding.
Correct.
Talk to us about that.
The original plan was to take $26.5 million every 3 years. It turns out, and within that, we had promised the voters, as a school board, that we would take no more than $48 per $100,000 of assessed value.
I see.
We have learned that because of the rise in property values in Culver City, which has been
Right.
rapid.
It's the
let's
new
just say
neighborhood,
rapid,
right?
and the very low interest rates that we're still enjoying, that we can take the next two issuances, take $53 million at once, and still keep to our promise of no more than $48 per $100,000 of assessed value. This
It's
will
a win-win,
allow.
arguably.
It's an absolute win-win. It will allow us to accelerate our work, to take advantage of lower construction costs, and get the work done a lot faster to the benefit of the students.
Speaking of winning, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the Culver City Unified School District won California School Boards Association Golden Bell Award.
We did.
For exemplary, innovative programming in the Whole Child, Whole Community Initiative. We congratulate you. Very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Her name is Sue Robbins. She is a trustee with the Culver City Unified School Board. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're coming to you from the west side of Los Angeles, and we thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.